primary school teacher of 10 years, hardened activist within the freedom movement. I like to describe myself, although there'll be no hair pulling tonight. No. I learnt my lesson. Honest, Your Honour. And yeah, amazing to see you lovely people. I made the very key decision in my life to leave my career, what I thought was going to be my long-term career, as working for the system in the education indoctrination system, removed 4 children of ours from the system, and did the best thing that I've ever done for my family and myself, my mental health, everything, was to take myself out of the system and to start working with and collaborating with the amazing Katy-Jo and Donna at Hope. And yeah, never looked back. The most fantastic journey I could have ever put myself and my family on. And I will talk to you further, when I get the opportunity to, about a little bit about home education and what it means to us. Over to you, Katy-Jo.
Thank you. So I'm very, very lucky. I come from an awake family on my mum's side. I was 17 when I was given my first David Icke book to read from my auntie, and I've been lucky to have been supported throughout this last 2 years with my amazing family, and we've attended marches together. And at the very beginning of this, it was really important to me that other people that didn't have that support found others. And so myself and my mum, Maxine and Gabe, were the first founding members of the Hastings and Rye Community Cooperative. And it's not in existence anymore, but what is in existence is these amazing social groups and support groups that people have got. And people have found each other, and that was the prime purpose of the co-op in the first place. When we set it up, one of the pillars was the education pillar, and having children myself, obviously, that was the most important to me, and that was where I put all of my time and energy, and Hope became so big and such a huge project that I couldn't commit to both, and I had to choose, and I did choose Hope Sussex. It's incredibly important that we support these families that have chosen to take their children out of the system. It's not an easy thing to do, especially if it's not something that was part of your life and part of what you were going to do. It's not easy, and especially now. And I am going to talk today about the new home schools, the new home education bill that they're trying to push through. Even if you don't home ed, we really need you to support opposing this. It's really, really, really important. It's it's going to have huge implications for all of us. So I will talk about that a bit more, and I'm also going to talk about our amazing Freedom Music Festival as well.
Okay. Who here's done some outreach? Who's been on a protest? Who stood up outside a vaccine centre and distributed leaflets or anything like? Well, fantastic. Well done to you guys. Well done to you guys. I feel at home here. You guys are our family, my brothers and my sisters. And I genuinely mean that when I say that, because there's nowhere else I'd rather be than standing in a room like this with you guys. Yeah. And I think it's quite apt that we just take a little minute of reflection and thank Boris Johnson. We are, after all, in a Conservative club, are we not? The irony is not lost. I feel like, a little thanks for Boris. He brought us together, did he not? He drove us into this situation, into this fantastic situation where actually he pushed us together to force us into demanding change. Because we weren't going to have it otherwise. We were all carrying along, plodding along in our own happy little worlds, not really that happy with the system, not really don't really like where it's going, but oof, I'm on my own, what am I going to do about it? Then along comes Boris, woo! And the World Economic Forum and the WHO, and they all got together and they all came up with this great plan, and here we are, folks, here we are, 2 years on, and frankly, there's not a minute doesn't go by when I think, thank goodness for Boris and what he did, because I'm loving life, and the fact that we get to do this with you wonderful people, and we get to go to London and shout at people and cheer and celebrate and hug each other and all of those wonderful things, I blooming love it. My life is better now than it was 2 years ago. So I know Danny, bless his heart, he said it was a bit like waking up in a nightmare. I don't think like that. In fact, I'd quite like to go back into lockdown again, because actually, I really loved it. I'm honest, I'm being honest with you. was no idiots on the road. You could drive everywhere with no traffic. It was easy. You could walk every day. You stepped out of your house feeling like a proper anarchist. Not wearing a mask. I'm going to the shops. Everybody else is wearing a mask and I'm not. And I loved it. I loved it. And now I feel a little bit boring and normal. I'm really
Definitely not that.
I feel a little bit boring and normal. So everywhere I go, I tend to wear a protest t-shirt because I want to cause a bit of a conversation. So I kind of live in them. But genuinely, honestly, without the joke aside, I am actually genuinely really happy for what happened, because we are now in a situation where we're carving out new communities, new ways of life, okay? And it doesn't have to be done through division. Hope was born out of love. It's born out of love for the community that we have, that we wanted to create somewhere really wholesome and beautiful for children to be with their families, absolutely. But I don't really want to be in that system anymore. I want to create a new system where I want to raise my children within, with my family and my friends and you guys. Yeah? And I really feel like Hope is on the real kind of pinnacle of making that happen. Okay? And Hope isn't just about home of personalised education. It isn't just for homeschooling. It's a place of sanctuary for our people. And we've been very, very lucky to have some absolutely incredible people join us at Hope and give so much of their time, have we not?
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing people from the Alpha team. And they've travelled from all over the country. 2 ladies drove 2 weekends ago down. We had a weekend, we had about 80 people there. These 2 lovely ladies, Debs and Marie, drove for 9.5 hours from Glasgow to plant an orchard for us.
And sleep in a tent.
Sleep in a tent, turn potatoes, get our potato patch going, and they loved it. And they're coming back again in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. And I blooming love those women. And it's about that, really. It's about that. So when you hear us talking about hope and talking about all the amazing opportunities that we feel we're providing to the children and why home education is so important, I want you to also realise that it isn't just for children. We have amazing facilities there that we'd like to put on in the evening, adult classes, yoga classes that we have running there for adults. You know, we had David Edelman speak there recently, and lots of you guys came and heard him speak. And he's an amazing advocate of ours. You must have heard his book, School is No Place for Children. Well, honestly, what an apt title that is. It really, really is. And I'll be talking a little bit more about this after Katy-Jo has spoken a little bit further about this very, very horrific piece of legislation.
Yeah. Would you like me to start?
You go.
So, the new schools bill. So, I'd like to start by saying that I'm not frightened of the LEA. I'm not frightened of the government at all. And at Hope, we have proved that actually, if you stand in your power, then they can't do anything. So, we had a visit about 2-3 months ago.
We did?
From the Ofsted's unregistered schools team. And these 2 guys came down the drive and
terrifying,
cams on,
body cams, everything.
We've seen children coming down this drive. We just want to come and see how many you've got on site. No, sorry, this is private land, you can't come on. Well, we think you're running an unregistered schools here. Well, still doesn't matter, you're not coming on. Well, they tried everything. We literally just stood in our power and said, you aren't coming on site, this is private property, please leave. They had to go. They couldn't come on. And we then have been corresponding through email, which is the right way. You know, if you want to have information from us, if you want to find out about what we're doing, then we will correspond with you through email, and you are not just turning up. But the new schools bill threatens this massively, massively. And it still wouldn't, I think, stop us. But as we know, most people comply. Most people are frightened. Most people don't know their power. So most people do comply. So all those people that are home educating now, if this new bill comes out, I'm telling you, they won't home ed. They won't. They will send their children to school. At the moment, the LEA can make an informal inquiry and ask you how you're educating your children. And that's it. So I had an email from mine a couple of days ago, and I sent her an email saying what my children were doing every week, which is a lot. They do a lot, right? And I got this back. Please confirm how regularly English and maths work is completed. I did note from your report that they are studying Animal Farm. Well, she's not read it properly, because my son at 10 is definitely not doing Animal Farm. Can you please provide additional examples of the topics work completed in English maths, both currently and over the last year? If you are happy to provide some examples of this work, it would be useful in providing us with a better understanding of learning. Honestly, I wanted to tell her sod off, right? But like I've got time to be reporting to her what I'm doing. I've not got any time to be doing that. And there's no legal requirement for me to do so. So anyway, I replied, "Good morning, Jess. Poppy May has finished Animal Farm and has moved on to Lord of the Flies. And also does a creative
The children
writing.
chose it. I gave them an option. They chose it.
She has also started English and double biology GCSE. She does GCSE maths once a week, and at the moment with a tutor and homework, as well as sociology, singing, saxophone, tap dancing, contemporary dance, ballet, drama, musical theatre, the list goes on. Tommy is really happy with the lessons he's doing in guided reading. They are doing The Owl Who Was Afraid of the Dark, a favourite story of his, and we read and do English comprehension and grammar at home. Maths-wise, he does White Rose Maths with a tutor, and is doing the workbook Money and Statistics. We do other workbooks at home. He is very happy looking after his wild birds and takes great pleasure feeding and watching them. He also loves looking after his tortoise, horse riding, fishing on the beach with his dad, and much more. He does science with a private tutor, Matt, and at the moment he is happy doing, I'm happy he is doing enough. Please remember, I have an 18-year-old daughter whom I homeschooled from year 7. Molly gained her GCSEs in math, English and science. She has just finished a 2-year art diploma at Hastings College. Many thanks for checking up on Tommy and Poppy. They are very happy and I love home educating them. I don't feel the need to send you any examples of their work, as I'm very happy with the education they are receiving. All the best. It's great that the LEA are showing support for those that need it, but I'm telling you now, most home ed people just want to be left alone to do it, okay? The new schools bill will take away this power. It means that we will be under constant scrutiny. Okay, and the education you're providing will be constantly checked, not annually, monthly, constantly. And it's incredibly intrusive into your life. And there is no evidence that this is needed. They haven't done any studies. There's no evidence that home-educated children aren't getting the education that they need.
There's actual evidence that proves that home-educated children actually score better in GCSEs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They are more self-confident. They have better people, life skills, social skills. They cope better in interviews. They have great initiatives, and they are more developed in areas of responsibility and creativity. So there is no need for this home ed bill, or is there? In the last 2 years, the numbers of home-educated children has gone up from 60,000 to 81,000. And that's the children that the LEA know about. 93% of local authorities have reported that they don't feel confident that they are aware of all the children that are being home-eded in their local area. This proves a massive threat to the government's control and to their evil agenda. You can't brainwash critical thinkers. And most of the indoctrination happens in school.
Yeah.
School teaches children mostly useless information.
Yeah.
It really does. And it takes up so much space of their brains that there's no room for creativity. So 8 hours a day, if you're including homework as well, they are bombarded with information. There is very little time for daydreaming, for boredom, which again is where creativity comes from. If a child is bored, they will start to create things. The penalty for non-compliance to this bill is a fine of up to £2,500 and a prison sentence of 3 months. Also, if a school attendance order is given, then the local authorities have the power to render your child you're never able to deregister them again, basically. So once they are put back into school, you can never take them out. We need as many people to oppose this bill as possible, and there is an online petition that has been started. So I would urge as many of you as possible to go and sign that. And it's not because we're frightened, it's because we need to show them, like with the marches, we need to show them how many of us there are, because there are loads of us, more than they think. okay? And we have to show them with every single petition, every single march, that we aren't getting tired. We're not getting tired, and we're not going to back down, okay? And I know that's really hard because it is relentless. It is. But we cannot falter. We have to keep going. So I just urge all of you, if possible, to sign any of the petitions that are against this bill. Thank you.
Just leading on from Katy-Jo's point, I'd just like to bring you back to your childhood days, your school days. Again, a moment of reflection. Can you just think back to when you were at school and just think to where you are now? Have you actually, as an adult, ever really needed to use Pythagoras' theorem? No? No? Trigonometry? No? Algebra? No? Okay, that's just maths, just throwing it out there. Most of the things that we're taught in school, you don't actually ever use in adulthood. When you leave school, essentially, you are exactly where they want you to be. And you haven't learned the things that you really need to go out into the big wide world to become an adult and actually take your place on the stage and start to live your adult life. You don't really understand money or the financial system. You don't understand mortgages. You don't understand, actually how to deal with people in a place of work. You haven't really been taught actually interview techniques or anything like that. You've never really been given the opportunity to really have real conversations with adults within the school system. It's not fit for purpose. It's not fit for the modern world that we're bringing our children into at all. And, I would argue it is actually, we do our children a massive disservice. And I'm sorry if there's people in here who have children in school, and obviously it differs for different children and people from different schools and things. But I'm coming from a place of education. I'm coming from a place where I was a governor in school, and I was a parent in school, and I was a teacher in school. And I saw firsthand, actually children aren't really considered as children within the school. And I was in a primary school, and they were still referred to within the primary school as the products, the clients. They are a product within the school that the school produces, like a factory, really. It's even worse when you go to secondary school, really much worse, because you've got academies. And academies, as we know, the government brought in the whole thing about academisation a couple of years, actually about 4 or 5 years ago now. It wanted the whole country to become academies. Okay, it's really rolling that out now. It's everywhere. Okay, and academies are essentially businesses. They're a business model, been bought up by massive, big, multi-trust academies who run lots of schools within an area. They run them essentially to make money. They do not run them in the interests of the children at all, in any way. So I would argue we do our children a massive disservice when they send them to school, because we are not equipping them for the world outside at all in any way. I taught sociology this week, and I'm not a secondary school teacher, so I can't say that I'm teaching them GCSE sociology, but I am teaching them sociology because I did it up to an MA level. And I only have a few children in my class, but we're looking at education at the moment. We've just done the family, and we're looking at education. We're looking at the roles and function of education. Flipping heck, the kids couldn't believe it. Now we're looking through the functionalist perspective, all the way through all the different theories of education, and all the sociologists, they all know. They all know exactly what education's for. It's funny that no parents know in the UK. They don't really know what the function of education is, but actually all the sociologists know. They all know that the function of education in the UK is to basically produce people who follow the rules, who don't question authority, because they have been scared in an education system so much that if you question anything your teacher says, you're going to get to go to the headmaster, you're going to get detention. If you walk down the school on the wrong side of the corridor, oh my goodness, you're going to miss a break. If you forget to wear your blazer when it's 40 degrees, oh my goodness, you're going to get a detention after school. If you forget a planner, just your timetable. I'm not even joking. I bumped into a friend of mine in the car park in Howsham the other day. As her daughter, she was meeting her daughter from secondary school, and she was late, and she went, I got detention because I forgot my planner, and she went, and I got told off because I wasn't wearing my blazer in the corridor, and I was going, oh my God, it's sweltering, I don't believe it. And she's just literally relaying, her and her daughter, all this terrible stuff that's going on. I'm standing with Matilda going, yeah, you're so lucky. You've got no idea how lucky you are. You don't have to go through any of this. You get to have blue hair and wear whatever clothes you want and hang out with all your mates at Hope. And you've got none of this going on. And she's literally like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I think actually they forget, you know, the kids, they're so lucky. They forget actually what it's like when you actually have a look at what it's like if you were to go into a secondary school. So places like Hope are, for people like Katy-Jo and I, are so vitally important to this movement. And that's why we need the support of everyone in the movement to help make it grow, to help us to create Hope Kent, Hope Surrey, Hope Essex, Hope Yorkshire. We need Hopes in every county of the country. It is a massive task, and we're running on like 400% at the minute, and we're doing it all voluntarily. And we're like literally on our knees, plus trying to sort out a music festival. It's a bit nuts, if I'm honest. It's a bit nuts, and it's not really sustainable. But we're going to do it because we have to do it. But we do need to create hopes everywhere, because every bloody child deserves it. Every bloody child needs to have a really good education.
I'd like to interject there as well and just say that without the next generation, we are fucked. Literally. So,
We are.
You know, even if you don't have children yourself, even if you don't have grandchildren, or that next generation of critical thinkers, of children that are going to be able to survive in this new world, which God knows what it's going to look like. If we don't support them and nurture them, then what happens to the human race?
Yeah. Right, absolutely, absolutely. What happens to the human race? My God, do you ever think we're ever going to be at a point where we're actually going to say that? Like, it's just nuts, isn't it? It's nuts. I mean, like, literally is nuts. And they are psychopaths. They're complete and utter psychopaths. The stuff that they're planning. And they do it all with a complete deadpan straight face like it's nothing, you know. And we know they're completely capable of anything. We really do. You know, we've been teaching some real history, I hope, today, looking at some of the fallacies and lies that have taken place as we're unpicking some of the great disasters that have taken place, you know, in the 19th and the 20th century, and we're looking at them in a really critical way, and yeah, and you go, wow. And we're doing Pearl Harbor today. We're doing about Pearl Harbor and how all the evidence. You look at all the evidence. Roosevelt knew the Japanese fleet were going to, he knew that the aircraft were coming in, going to attack the US naval fleet in Pearl Harbor. He knew about it, he knew well about it in advance. We were talking to the children about it, and they're like, they really knew that all those people were going to be killed. Over 2,000 American service personnel were going to be blown up. And I showed them some pictures. I didn't show them footage, but I showed them some pictures of the Arizona exploding. And they just literally couldn't believe it. And then one child went, yeah, but they did it in 9/11.
That's
you wouldn't get that. You wouldn't get that in a mainstream school, but you get it at home. And I love it. It's brilliant because, and we went, well, actually, yeah, they called 9/11 the modern day Pearl Harbor. Yeah. And then we went up with another. And we're right going down the rabbit hole, and it's brilliant. I've got kids throwing all sorts of things out, and they go, yeah, but, you don't know about the world being... And you've got all these conversations going on, and it's brilliant, and I love it. It's great. And we never, ever get to finish a lesson, because we've always got stuff going on. Claire was in a lesson with me, weren't you, the other day? We had a right conversation, didn't we? That was hilarious. We're doing the Owl That's Afraid of the Dark in guided reading, and we ended up having a conversation about, what was it? What was it about? Oh, I know what it was. It was about space. And it was about whether we're a star or a planet, whether it's real, space. Is it real? Are they really stars that we see? Or are they lights? Are they like, what is it that we're on? And we ended up going right, didn't we? It was absolutely brilliant. Me and you were just cracking up going, this is brilliant. Look at this conversation taking place. We're talking, no exaggeration, we're talking 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and a couple of 6-year-olds having this conversation. And I feel like my work here is done. It's brilliant. I love it. I absolutely love it. What great kids they are.